All right, so once again, glad to have you in this LinkedIn headline and summary training. All right, what is a professional brand is where we're going to start. You see, you have a story to tell. You have a story to tell employers about who you are, about what you stand for, about what makes you different and credible and trustworthy and skilled based on any other candidate. Why you would be the best candidate for a position. You have the opportunity to do this in LinkedIn. You see, this is a professional brand that you have. We all have a professional brand. It just is our story. And how we tell that story is going to be important to employers and recruiters and anyone who's looking on LinkedIn. Now, this morning I got a message from someone who was looking for someone to teach, and they found me on LinkedIn. And so that's what's going to be happening is recruiters and employers are going to be looking on LinkedIn to find their next greatest employee. And we want to show who we are professionally on LinkedIn. So if we don't have a really good, strong LinkedIn profile, we may be overlooked for a position that someone's looking to fill. So your professional brand is really what matters to a potential employer, to a recruiter, to anyone that you are working with that can help you find or grow your career, and also to anyone that you decide to network with. So your professional brand, I hope you know what it is, who you are, what you've done professionally. Of course you do. It's just how would you like to spin it? How would you like to tell that story on LinkedIn? And you start with your headline, and then you develop that more with your LinkedIn summary. So that's what we'll be doing today. So we're going to build your brand by starting, as I mentioned, with the headline. Your headline is your first impression. Now, I won't be just using these slides today, which you will get at the end of this presentation, but I'll also be jumping into my LinkedIn profile. My LinkedIn profile is written for use for training. So it is also written to attract employers, but it's more for training. So you're going to see the good, the bad, the ugly, and I'm going to give you suggestions based on what I have for my headline and what I have for my summary. But your headline is your personal branding statement. Who you are, what you stand for, what you will do for the next employer. It really should be promotional and factual, and I'm going to give you a lot of advice and a lot of examples that you can use or spin and change to reflect who you are. So let's take a look at where the headline is. The headline is really under your name on your LinkedIn profile. You have the opportunity to type 214 characters, and that does include spaces, and that does include commas, vertical bars, and any special symbols that you decide to put in. And notice I have a website there that is a jobhunt.org website, and it has the LinkedIn profile. We call it eye candy, any of the symbols that are appropriate to use on LinkedIn. What we should not say on LinkedIn in our headline is that we're looking for opportunities or we're looking for a new job or that we're unemployed, because that's what's happening. That's what we're doing. But we want to promote ourselves more in a professional manner. So I'll show you what to do, but let's first look at my LinkedIn profile. So I hope you made your screen as large as you can. And that's usually in the upper right-hand corner. You use the full screen so that you're able to see this. Okay. And you can certainly open your own LinkedIn and work on it. I'm going to go at a pace that might be a little bit faster than you're able to work. So watching this might be the way to go, and making a note or two of course, it's totally up to you. But here's my LinkedIn profile. And in my basics class, I go over what to put in the background about the actual photo and your name. But this is where we're focusing today. We're focusing right here under my name. And this is not 240 characters, so I didn't use them all, but I should have really. And take a look at my headline. First of all, I want to tell you that it's just okay. Now, as a job seeker, I'm not sure if we just want to be okay. We want to be amazing. And you are amazing. You just have to tell your story starting with your headline. So notice what I put: workforce training, computer technology instructor, social media training. Well, that really doesn't tell a story. That gives a bunch of job titles. Okay, that's okay. You will see people put job titles there. But what should I put there? And what did you put there? So we're going to develop this. So let's go back to the PowerPoint for just a moment and let's take a look. So your headline should describe who you are, maybe what you want to do, as well as a benefit to the reader. So look at these bullets. You could share who you are, what you're passionate about. You could put a job title, but maybe you're changing careers and you're putting instead transferable skills. You might want to just display what your talents are. You might want to reveal what's best about what you've done and what your focus is. So what makes you unique? What makes you good at your job, you could write. You could state maybe an important outcome that you've brought about, and then you'll be able to tell more about that in the summary. You're trying to create an image of what kind of an employee you would be. So you can use adjectives. You can use keywords that are based upon a job title. So I know you've all been job seeking and you've been probably looking on Indeed or LinkedIn, of course, if you've got an account for a job. So how about if you look for 5 jobs using the same job title that you're interested in and taking a look at the common keywords that are showing up in each one of these job titles. These common keywords, for me, it's teaching, training, developing, delivering. I'd use those keywords maybe in my headline, and I'd definitely use them again in my summary. So let's take a look at some things that we can do, especially if we're career changing. We can say that in our headline. We can say that we're looking in a new industry. We can start acting like we're already in that new industry. And even if we're not changing careers, we can use the summary to explain anything about our career. We can use transferable skills from any of the jobs that we've had in the past. We've got career goals, so let's state them either in the headline or in the summary or both. So we need to start considering how we want to appear to a hiring manager. And again, look at that last line, those keywords that we can search by finding job titles and finding those keywords based on those job titles. Those are the keywords that we want to start including. Now, let's take a look at some examples. You might find one that best suits you. And again, I've given you a website that gives you some top 10 LinkedIn profile headlines that you could look at as well. So look at the very top, if you would, with me. Headlines tell a short story. Maybe you want to start with your role or your industry or your area of expertise, but don't just stop there. Add your unique value. Now, see, that's what I did by mistake. I just stopped here. I didn't add any unique value. I just put in job titles. Again, that is okay, and you'll see many people do that on LinkedIn, but I want you to be better than okay. So let's take a look at some of these examples. Notice the first one. I'm going to read them in case someone is on a phone, and if you have joined me via phone, would you please put your name and job seeker ID in the chat? Only those that have joined today by the phone, because I can't see your name and I'd like to give you credit for taking this class. Everyone else, I can see your name and that you've joined on this beautiful rainy day. Thank you so much again for joining. But anyone via a phone, go ahead and put your name and job seeker ID in the chat. So what would we, let's go back to this slide. What would we say? I'm going to read these again. Graphic designer, that is a headline, but specializing in logo design is a much better headline. Now notice I put these additions in bold and italic so that you can see that office manager, that really could be a headline, but it's really not good enough. Don't stop there. How about office manager creating high performance office environments? Digital marketing professional. Again, it could be a headline, but better to say digital marketing professional focused on leadership, team building, and client success. Consumer marketing expert. Now be careful when you say expert, make sure that you are one. But notice consumer marketing expert with a focus on strategy, promotions, and campaign management. How about the next one? Financial executive skilled in growing mid-sized food service companies, quoted in the WSJ and on CNBC.com. Again, you're putting a little bit of good information, bragging, facts, um, maybe even a job title, financial executive, but again, explaining what you do. The short story is really the best. All right, last one on this slide anyways, procurement and treasury specialist, increasing the bottom line on global accounts. Now, when you use the word specialist or skilled or expert or professional, again, those are terms you can use. Make sure you can back them up, and we'll be backing them up in the summary very soon. So now, tell me, what do you think would resonate the best with you from this slide? Go ahead and put that in the chat. Now, we're not copying and pasting these because these are actual headlines that are used out there. And so we don't want to copy anyone else's headline, but we could turn it and spin it and again, incorporate it into ours. Now, I know I don't have one for each and every industry. That's almost impossible. But let me show you what you could do while you're looking and deciding which one is best for you. Let's take a look and let's go back to my LinkedIn profile. And I'm just going to come up here and hit the plus sign. So go to another tab on the internet. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to search for some LinkedIn profiles that might be appropriate for me. So let's say that I'm a nurse. I'm going to come up here and put LinkedIn headline examples for nurses. Let's see what I get. So LinkedIn profile, right, for nurses. Step-by-step look at LinkedIn for nurses. 23 of the best LinkedIn headline examples. I can't guarantee that nursing's in there, but it's possible. And notice you've got LinkedIn profiles, 12 impactful LinkedIn headlines. Look at all these examples that you could look at. Now, I could make it a little bit even easier. I could put LinkedIn examples for nurses instead of headlines, and let's take a look what comes up. Again, same type of, here we go, why every nurse should have a LinkedIn profile. So let's take a look. Let's click on that for just a moment so everyone can understand, even though you may not be a nurse out there, everyone can understand what these particular websites give you. They give you insight to maybe what to put for your profile, how to display your credentials, and this could be for anyone, and what to put for your headline. So notice right here, registered nurse at St. Mary's Hospital. That says something about what you're doing right now, but look at down here. Seasoned nurse with extensive experience in ICU trauma and critical care. Or Houston-based RN leader with a career focus on quality improvement and nursing staff development. So these headlines, these examples tell more of a story. And so I used nursing as an example because someone mentioned it in the chat. You could use any title that you're looking for when you do a search. So LinkedIn examples for accountants. And again, you would get specific websites that are geared to crafting accounting LinkedIn profiles and LinkedIn summaries and LinkedIn headlines. And again, you'd get to look at these websites. I know it's a lot of work, but again, it's specific to your title. So it's really a good idea to start Googling. Now, the other thing that you can do, everybody take a look here. So say you're off Googling right now, come back, and you could do this as well. You could search right here in LinkedIn using the search bar. You could put a nurse or nurses or just nurse here, and you could find in people. So you're looking for people that are nurses or accountants or whatever job title, and you don't have to click on them. You could just look to see what they're putting in and notice. Most of them put registered nurse at the place that they might be working, or just registered nurse. But again, because you are job seeking and you may not have a place in order to put a particular hospital or medical system you're working for, again, it might be best if you take a look at one of these websites and take a look at some of the examples as we just saw and reword them to meet your needs and your experience. And that might be something that is helpful to you. And that's for everyone as well, depending on their particular title that they're looking for. So searching on LinkedIn or go ahead and doing a Google search. Okay. All right, let's take a look at more, and thank you for these questions that you have put in the chat as well. All right, let's take a look. So what if you are a job seeker, as we are, freelancer, or a student? Look at some other choices. So public relations expert, and again, you could take the word expert out, serving Fortune 500 companies or clients in the past 4 years. It doesn't mean that you're working or you're not working. It's just stating a fact about who you've helped. B2B sales rep, 2.4 million generated in 2020. Now, of course, 2020 is, not too far gone. We wouldn't want to put in 1990, something like that. We would want it to be more current. Notice this one. I help coaches and consultants generate an additional 10 to 20,000 per month via video ads. There's no title there. There's just saying what you do. Notice this one right here. Enthusiastic sales rep with 3 years of professional experience. Great. A lot of the times in an industry, they're looking for a person with a certain amount of experience. We don't want to put 30 years. Again, that might age us. But again, if they're looking for always somebody with 3 years of experience, it's good to promote it. Highly skilled data journalist with 5+ years experience at national publications. Recent finance graduate with a focus in economics and marketing. Isn't that a better way of saying that you're looking, in a sense, for these particular industries for a job than saying that I'm looking for a job? How about human resources manager? And again, I'm not thrilled with, or I wouldn't maybe highly recommend putting in the years unless you're seeing that they're looking for someone with those particular types of amounts of years. But notice 10+ years of people experience. Disneyland annual pass holder. Now, does that have anything to do with being a resource manager, human resources? No, but it's kind of fun to put in there. And it just gets a little bit of human touch in there, which I really like. Notice senior manufacturing engineer, 6+ years in GMP manufacturing, cat fanatic. I'm not sure if I would put that, but it's kind of cute. All right, notice the last one. I've got this in there twice. I've got to make some notes and edit this particular slide. Sorry about that. So no one answered my question the last time. What do you find in either this one or in this slide? What do you find resonates with you the most? Are you finding one of these that you think, oh, I can change this a little bit? And this is the type of presentation. This is the type of headline that I would like to write. Anyone got one? Go ahead and put that in the chat. Now, we're going to also talk about the summary in just a moment. And the summary is going to be very, very important. It takes up a lot of our time. But let's take a look at, again, these here. And are you writing anything down? Are you finding which one that you would like to focus on? Someone mentions the one that says focus or specialization. That's good. All right, let me tell you what not to do. Because of the pandemic, In the past, there have been a lot of people that were furloughed, and then they were told that they would be brought back once their company reopens or their particular job starts to open to the public again. So we have a lot of people that had jobs and they had a job title, so maybe computer technology instructor at Mass Higher Metro North. But if I was laid off or if I'm not going back to Mass Higher, I wouldn't leave that job title there because that's not the truth. So if you still have a job title on your LinkedIn that says, your job title at a particular company that you're definitely not going back to, you definitely want to change that as soon as you can. Because on an interview and on a resume and on your work experience, it probably has an end date there. But if you're stating that you're still working there on your headline, that's confusing and conflicting and really not the truth. Okay? All right. The other thing that I might do is something called a banner, if you prefer. So let me just show you. I show you this in the, someone mentions, can you say formally? I wouldn't even bother. I wouldn't put formally because in the work experience, they're going to go and take a look and see that it was formally. I wouldn't put that in there. I don't think it's necessary. I think you should be more positive and commanding and confident in your headline. And putting formally might, again, just bring the attention to that word instead of who you are professionally. Great question, though. All right, let's take a look at the next thing that you could do. And as I mentioned, I do go over this in my basic class, but I'd like to go over it again because somebody asked about it. I want you to notice this open to work right here. When I click on open to work, I'm able to tell, let's just go up here and hit this pen. This lets me edit. I'm able to tell recruiters, see how it says recruiters right here? I'm able to tell recruiters on LinkedIn what job titles I'm interested in, and also what type of job I'm interested in, what location I might be interested in, and you can add more than one location, and what the start date might be, and again, the job types. And I can save this, and now when recruiters use the recruiter software for LinkedIn and they do searches for people on LinkedIn, they'll be able to get a little bit more information because they're looking for people that are open to work. So this is what I do, and I hit save, and then close this window, and nobody really knows other than recruiters that I'm open to work and what type of jobs I'm looking for. And recruiters can contact me through LinkedIn. Now, the other thing I can do is this. When I go back to open to work and use the pen to edit, I can come down here to the bottom and click this arrow right here. Because there are two choices, recruiters only, or all LinkedIn members can see that I'm open to work because LinkedIn will put this banner around my photo if I choose this. So let me choose it for you so that you can see, and then I'll hit save. And then I'll close this window and notice this banner that says open to work. That is visible to everyone who looks at your LinkedIn account. It's also visible to recruiters, and that's up to you. That's your choice. I'm not 100% sold on this banner open to work. I am sold on telling recruiters that I'm open to work and what titles I am. And I'm more interested in displaying who I am professionally on LinkedIn and then telling them why I would be a great employee in my summary and taking this banner off. Now, let's say I kept the banner on for a week or two and it didn't really make a difference. Nobody actually called me or emailed me, and I've decided to take it off. How would I do that? I would come back down to open to work, Come back down and hit the pen. Scroll down to the bottom where it says all LinkedIn members and click this down arrow and choose recruiters only. When I click save, or I could delete this from my profile altogether if I decide I don't even want recruiters, I can delete this whole idea of saying I'm open to work. I can hit save and now close this and the banner is gone. So again, it's totally up to you what you prefer to do. But again, I prefer to say who I am and what I do professionally in my headline and in my summary, then say that I'm open to work. Again, totally up to you. Any questions about that? Any comments about that? Somebody just said they just improved their headline based on these suggestions, so that's great, thanks. And somebody else would say that the digital marketing expert one that we saw is best used to define them, so that's great. All right. And someone else mentions that they're leaning toward headlines that show sample results. Years doesn't really seem like a good use of the characters, they say. I like that. Showing a sample of who you are and what you do and why you would be the greatest next candidate, to me, is always a better choice. That's right. Good. All right. Any questions about the headline? And let's just make sure you know how to edit it, first of all, before we move on. So in the LinkedIn headline and summary, we've got our profile here, and here's a pen right here that we'll click on. A box will pop up, which allows us to put our first name, our last name, any additional name. It allows us to put in a pronoun if we prefer, and here's where you would type the headline. All right, and then you would save it at the bottom and it would appear under your name. And you can edit that anytime you want and as many times as you like. But you don't have to. Once you get a good headline, you can leave it right there. All right, let's continue, everyone. I don't see any other questions, so let's keep going. So as I mentioned, everything that we learned about the headline, let's go back for just a moment. So remember, the professional brand is your story. And the headline is the start of telling your story. And again, promotional and factual. But don't worry, that's not all you get to tell an employer. When you do a summary, which is the about section, you get to tell 2,600 characters of a story to build and continue your professional brand based off of your headline. Okay? All right, so let's keep going. So people ask me all the time, do you need a summary? I'll show you where it is on LinkedIn. It is right here as I scroll down past my dashboard that's only private to me. Here is the About section. Now the About section gives you 3 lines of text visual to anyone who looks at your profile, and then they can click on See More to see the rest of your summary. Now this summary, this About You section, I've only used maybe not a little bit more than half of the 2,600 characters to tell my story. Should I use all 2,600? They're given to me. Yes, I should. So that's one thing that I want to make sure that you understand. Try to use the 2,600 characters to tell the story. But if you don't have the story to tell that's 2,600 characters, then I understand. But really, I'm going to give you a lot of good information about what to put in your LinkedIn About section so that this is read by an employer, by a recruiter, by anyone who wants to connect with you. And I want you to realize what it is that you want to be able to tell them. So I'm going to be jumping back and forth from my LinkedIn About section so I can show you some good things and maybe some things that could be changed. And we'll be going back and forth between our PowerPoint. So the headline attracts the right people, keeps them reading, I hope, into the About section. And so the employers, I'm going to be calling it the summary or the About section or both. So it means the same thing. Employers will see this summary as a pre-interview. So let's say they get a wonderful cover letter and a resume from you, and they want to learn a little bit more. So they'll come into LinkedIn, first of all, to see if you have some social media. And LinkedIn is the most professional social media site out there for any professional, whether they're job seeking or not. And so they expect you to have a LinkedIn profile, and they expect it to be complete and impressive. So if yours is not complete and impressive, keep working on it. And you want to work on it as much as you can to get it done. And so the summary section is something that an employer is really interested in reading, because they're going to get a very good first impression. It's more than just your work experience and more than just your resume. It helps to set you apart. Why? Because you're going to be able to use the keywords that they're looking for and mentioning in their job descriptions. They're going to be able to find you based on those keywords when they search, but more important, they're going to see that you are the best fit for them. So you definitely need a summary. Too many people on LinkedIn leave the summary blank. They don't know what to write, so they don't bother. It is not okay for a job seeker to leave the summary blank. So just remember, it is your first impression. It is what an employer wants to read. It's your opportunity to set you apart from other candidates that may be applying for the same jobs. Now, here's some facts about the summary. As we mentioned, we never want to leave it blank. You've got 2,600 characters. You want to write something about yourself, possibly, that wouldn't even be on a resume. You want to write in the first person. Maybe you want to type it in Microsoft Word and do a spell check and then copy and paste it into LinkedIn. You want to maybe outline your career history. Maybe talk about your reasons for a career change or discuss your achievements. And there's so much more that we can do in the summary. I want you to look at number 3. Notice that I put here, write something about yourself that we wouldn't know from your resume. Let me give you an example. I'm going to use myself as an example. I'm going to show you my About section. And I want you to focus, first of all, and I'll make this screen a little bit bigger. If I can here we go. I want you, whoops, now I made it really big. Hold on a second. I'll make it a little bit smaller. There we go. Here's the section that I want you to really focus on for just a moment. Notice I write, my past corporate training experience included analyzing and customizing training needs of clients, developing and delivering training to groups and individuals nationwide. These skills I now use in the public forum. Do you notice I don't have a date when I did corporate training? I want you to notice something. Keep with me. I want to come down to my work experience. And I want you to notice I do not have that corporate training in my work experience. And I don't have it on my resume either. And the reason being is we know that we're only supposed to go back 10, maybe 15 years on a resume, right? What we have on our resume should also be the same on our LinkedIn work experience. Well, when did I do corporate training? I did corporate training in the 1990s. That's too far long ago, but it is still so relevant to what I do now. I do corporate training. I do training for companies in the evenings. So my corporate training past, I still want to talk about in this summary, but I don't want to date it because that will date me. There's ageism out there and it's too long ago. And what I taught in that corporate training experience, the software that I taught is defunct right now. Now notice, I do put my class list that I teach now, and that's relevant. Notice I put I'm an Microsoft Office instructor, and notice I put social media. I teach you social media. And notice I start off with preparation is the key to success, and I will prepare you for your next job. So really, who am I speaking to? Well, you're going to speak to an employer and recruiter, and I am too, but I'm also speaking to people who, like you, might be taking my training. So I like to twist and turn my LinkedIn summary into who I am professionally, but also what I will do for you if if I work for you, as well as what I will do for you if I teach and you participate in my class. Notice I put, I'm passionate about empowering people with the skills needed to increase their productivity. I encourage you to make training a priority, and I look forward to motivating you as you learn and work more efficiently and proficiently. So I'm speaking to the people that may be taking my training. And then notice I put what my students have said about me, and I just put a few things that are, again, um, taking what others say about me, whether it's a manager or whether it's someone in my class, it's going to be credible. And so I want to place that here. Now, I also put how to reach me if someone is looking at my profile and maybe they're not a first level connection and they're not able to see my contact information. I want to be able to tell them how to reach me. And so this is what I put on LinkedIn. Now, there are many ways to approach the About section. So let's take a look at some of the examples. And before we look at the examples, sorry, I forgot. I want to encourage you to research. Check out job listings, as I mentioned, and review at least 3, maybe job descriptions, maybe 3 to 5, and jot down the keywords that you see in common because you're going to use them, as we mentioned, on the headline possibly, as well as in the summary. And maybe search and review other people's summaries in your field. And then maybe even Google and find examples. So let's take a look. Let's go back and take a look. And let's go up to the internet. And remember we looked for LinkedIn examples for nurses? Well, how about if I put LinkedIn summary, or you could use about, and we'll put examples, and we'll use somebody else here. We'll put in marketing, because some of you mentioned that as well. So look at LinkedIn summary examples for creative LinkedIn summaries. Usually people in marketing are a little bit more creative in their type of work. 26 best LinkedIn summaries, 7 of them, 5 of them, 13 of them. And notice you can search for your particular type of industry or title. So I'll do sales, give you some examples for sales. And these are LinkedIn summaries. So when you click on these, you get to read some of the summaries that these people who are writing these blogs or whatever type of website you're looking at, and you'll be able to see examples and then get some good information about what is the purpose of a summary? What are the common mistakes? What are some tips? More than I can give you in this hour and a half. And take a look at these websites. And then again, they'll give you some examples. That's one bit of advice. Here's another bit of advice. As we noticed before, we came up and we did a search. So on our LinkedIn profile, okay, we can click on search. And let me search for, well, let me show you some of the people that I know. So Kelly, here we go. And let's take a look. Let's just take a look at somebody else's summary. And notice what she does. I love this. She uses some eye candy, these stars in the circles, and she puts some keywords here that are important. And she puts her title, manager and leadership, and talks about what her skills and contributions have been. And then she's also a trainer and instructor and puts in, again, a paragraph about that. And then she's had some prior work experience that maybe are not exactly relatable to trainer and manager, but they have quite a few transferable skills and some really good skills in there. And then she puts again a list. And this is how she does it. Very interesting, very informative. And let's take a look at somebody else. So I take a look at my friend Nancy, who you all probably have taken classes from as well. So we'll take a look at Nancy. And sometimes short and sweet is good, sometimes longer is good. It really depends on what you want to do. And notice she starts off, career development has been a thread throughout my career. I have had the pleasure motivating and directing hundreds of individuals of various ages and diverse backgrounds on their educational and professional journey. Whether you need training or an enhancement of your skills, I can get you there. And then she puts her Yahoo account. This is great. All of these are great. And you decide which one resonates with you. So you could do a search on, for example, remember we did nurses before? I'll do nurses again, or nurse, and we'll do people. And the only, not issue, but the only thing I want to give you just a heads up on is that these will be your second and third and maybe first level degrees, first, second, and third degrees of networking, connections, and LinkedIn. And then if I click on Tamara, Tamara will know that I've clicked on her and I've taken a look at her about section. And short and sweet can be okay, but she may already be working. Look, she's working at Winchester Hospital, let's say. So maybe she's just been told to create a LinkedIn profile. It's great because a lot of companies and hospitals and so forth want people to have LinkedIn accounts. And so maybe she's not really putting in, I'm not saying she's not, but I'm just saying maybe she's not really putting in all of her information that she needs to if she was looking for a job. Okay. So you can search for people and you can Google LinkedIn summaries for particular uh, industries and companies and types of job titles. And people will read, and who are these people? Employers, recruiters, people that want to contact you. They will read your LinkedIn summary. So let's go back to the information that I have here. And let me remind you that the first 300 characters are visible, and then someone's going to have to click see more. So your opening statement really should be interesting as possible. Maybe conveys the most important information or uh, uh, maybe a mantra on how you live, or just something that's going to interest them to click more. Make use of that white space. Sometimes space between the paragraphs is good. So look at the bottom. Start with some effective short sentences describing your top skills. So you could put digital designer, 3D animator, conceptual thinker, or legal personal assistant. More, again, could be a catchy phrase like this one. Communicate, communicate, communicate. I like that. I say a catchy phrase is pretty good, but again, you can decide to start with a short sentence describing your top skills. Now, if you're changing careers, and if you're not, this is still a good path or a good set of outline of what you would do. So in your summary, you have an intro, maybe the value that you deliver, and you really describe, especially if you're changing careers, your transferable skills that you're going to bring over. Now, every summary kind of has a middle, and so I would always recommend, and I'll show you how, putting in accomplishment statements. And if you are changing careers, and again, switching job titles, transferable skills are great to incorporate into those accomplishment statements. And then a conclusion is always nice, how you would contribute or what your proven experience in the past years or what your career goal might be for the future. And then I always mention to put in your email address, or if you'd rather, a phone number. So let's go over some of the things that you would include, and let me give you some examples now. So, can you describe what you are most known for professionally? Could you put that down on a piece of paper? Or maybe you're typing it in. Maybe you're putting it in your notes on your phone. maybe go ahead and put it in your list here in the chat so that I can read it out loud as well. What are you most known for professionally? Was it your years of experience in your industry? Was your area of expertise something you were known for? Maybe the types of organizations you've worked for, or a particular skill? What are you known for? Go ahead and put that in the chat. I want to see at least one person today. You're very quiet out there. Oh, good. Teaching and scholarships. Excellent. Again, this just gives others the idea of what to think about. So again, don't be shy to challenge us today as well with what you put in. Someone puts creating organization and efficiency. Excellent. All right. Can you speak to, when you're writing a summary, all the positions of which you wish to be considered? That might be kind of hard, right? But if you can speak to, maybe you want to be a trainer, or you want to be a high school teacher, or you want to be working in a college setting, and I'm just using teaching as an example. You know, those are all positions that you might need to speak to when you're creating your summary. Now, I just want to read a couple of things that people are putting in the chat. Tapping into the unleashing the creative energy of aspiring theater students. That's really cool. Take charge of new or ongoing projects for customer presentations. These are great. So you develop these, you write these, you describe certain areas of your expertise. You're known for a positive, supportive attitude in and out of the classroom. You're an advocate for students and family. Again, these are great ways to describe who you are professionally. And you are going to incorporate that into your LinkedIn About section. Now, how about using some keywords, as we keep mentioning, to explain who you are and what you do? And those keywords, again, are coming from job descriptions that you're looking at. And don't forget to check out job postings, as I mentioned, because that's where you're going to get those keywords. And put together those keywords in a narrative. So this is a paragraph upon paragraph, or a list of, as you saw, some people write a little bit of paragraphs and then they put a list. And this is supposed to engage the reader with these keywords and really help them to realize that you are going to be the best candidate. Now notice I put the words demonstrate, share, describe, tell, focus, show, and explain. Well, what can we demonstrate? In a paragraph format, your hard skills, results, data, accomplishments. You can share metrics and successes, and an example was increasing sales by 30% year over year. You can describe your talents, what you're good at. You can, again, talk about your transferable skills. Highlight your talents that you've used in several positions. You don't even have to say what those positions were, but you're focusing on describing the talent. You can tell your whole story about your career, not saying in 1990 you did this. As I mentioned, how I did that. You're focusing on demonstrating what you'll do for an employer. And hopefully through your words, you'll show that you're excited about what you do and what you're going to do and what motivates you. So again, all of these are good things to incorporate into a summary, and you're going to have to figure out how, and I've given you some examples that we'll look at very soon. So you're building your brand by writing a summary that shows the best of you. Take a look at some of these bullets. So if I'm reading your summary, I should be able to see what and where your skills and expertise lie. Remember, you're not just relying on your work experience section to speak for you. You want to speak for yourself during your summary, and you want to make it easy to understand and to read for anyone who's reading it. And you want to show, as I mentioned, your talents and achievements and experience and your outcomes that you've brought about, and maybe why these outcomes matter, or maybe who they matter most to. You want to share your accomplishments, and maybe you've already solved problems and figured out what the problem is, put into action a result and found out the results. These are great things to put in a summary. And so, can you write a story with all of these? You can. It's going to be hard sometimes for some of us who are not great writers. I know I'm not a great writer, so I needed some help. And I asked my husband, who's a good writer, and some other friends that helped me write this. Now, let's now look at some examples, and you hopefully will participate in this as well. So example about successes. So I've got 5 of them here. Increased revenue with key small businesses through relationship building and networking. So these are just partial, these are sentences that it might be part of a paragraph that you would continue to write. How about number 2? And again, these are separate, different ones. Hired, trained, led our company's first inside sales organization to support revenue growth objectives. Or number 3, built prosthetics with near natural motor capability. Or number 4, I analyzed data for some of the biggest enterprise companies in the world to educate the market on long-term internet trends. Number 5, I increased regional sales by an average of 72% in my first year at 3 different companies. Again, what are some of your successes? Could you be so kind to put a success in the chat, and then I can share it with others? And maybe even a number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Which one resonates the best with you and that you might incorporate into your summary? Again, we're not copying and pasting. We're rewriting this a little bit. So again, put that in the chat for me. So number 1, somebody states, increased revenue with key small businesses. So what I did, what the success was, where in small businesses, how through relationship building and networking. Excellent. It tells a huge story, and then you can develop that story as we go. Someone else likes some version of number 2 and 4, maybe put together, or even telling different pieces of the story in different paragraphs with using 2 and 4. Excellent. So hired, trained, and led our company's first inside sales organization to support revenue, growth objectives, and I analyzed data for some of the biggest enterprise companies. Again, you're bragging, you should brag. And you always use I, you always are writing in the first person. All right, how about accomplishments and statistics? How would I write those? Well, here's 4 examples. And I want you to look at number 1. I participated in 3 triathlons on 3 continents. Now, if they were in the healthcare industry or in the fitness industry, that would be great. But even whatever industry they're in, this is really good information about who you are personally. It shows that you are committed to a particular accomplishment. Number 2, I saved the company $3 million through the Go Green initiative that I created and executed. Number 3, my online brand campaign for the Dorsey Children's Hospital won the such and such award, one of the most prestigious awards in the graphic design industry. Again, these are accomplishments, statistics. You can even say successes. Number 4, my work has been featured in Compound Magazine on the Creative Review blog. So again, you're looking for an accomplishment. And someone writes, many of my students are on a Broadway or television film. Many of my students go on to theater conservatory programs. That is an accomplishment. That is a success because you were part of that. Excellent. So what do you think here? 1, 2, 3, or 4 resonates with you? Do you have an accomplishment or a statistic that you can tell? Feel free to put that in the chat and I can share it with others that they can too see what to write. And as you're writing, we'll go on. How about examples of values and passions? Are you creative? So notice number 1, creativity, diversity, and building win-win relationships is a value or a passion. And you don't even have to say my value is, my passion is. Again, you incorporate it into the training, into the paragraph. Number 2, you can say my passion is all about helping people, teams and organizations figure out where they are, where they want to be, and then helping them get there. That could be in a lot of industries. Number 3, I'm inspired by honesty. Maybe tell how, why, what is, something that you're going to do or incorporate. But I like that. Honesty. I'm passionate about learning. A lot of companies are going to be hiring people and want to mold them and shape them and teach them. And a lot of hard skills and soft skills they want you to already know, of course, but they're interested in knowing that you may be passionate about learning every day. Number 5, I stayed committed to my path as a writer for another 6 years, and then I realized my true passion was. Number 5 is a good example of if you're doing a career change. So, values and passions, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. So someone puts, in my previous job as an account manager, we did better our relationship with a domestic customer by improving in our service, which then they can say came mostly from them and how. That's excellent. So again, something you did, something that you accomplished, something that you had part in a success or are passionate or have value in. Another thing that we can start talking about in our summary is what makes us unique. So I want you to take a look at these examples of 1 through 6. Someone says, I can review reams of data to find the $1 million error. That just means that they're really good in, which is a very good skill, and even dependent upon their job title, it may be even more of a skill that people are looking for. But that says that they can really focus and read and take a look at the information and find that particular error if needed. Notice I make team meetings fun and productive. Being a night owl, I get a lot of my best writing done in the late evening. Now, again, that's kind of interesting, isn't it? And it just gives a human perspective. So when you're writing these, remember you are human and people are human who are reading this, of course, and want to kind of resonate with you and maybe understand you better. So these are great things to put into again, you incorporate them in to your summary. Number 4, I like to use my humor, and somebody puts number 4 here, to diffuse tense situations and keep the team focused on results. And if you can think of somebody in your life, and I can think of Nancy here at Mass Higher Metro North, humor, always having some humor, which definitely helps in the day-to-day situations where sometimes things can be tense, or just putting light on the situation is really helpful. So it's something to brag about. Number 5, my titles are career strategist, recruiter, and certified professional resume writer. But when you get right down to it, I'm much more. I'm an author, I'm an educator, coach, social media strategist, and a technical geek. I like that one. I've always been wanting to just change my LinkedIn headline to something like this. So you might see it someday when I'm done teaching these classes, let's say. Number 6, was named one of the top 10 social media executives. These are what make you unique in your job, what you've done in the past, what you will do in the future. Okay? All right. Now, remember, we're going to be incorporating some of this into some examples. And I put here some paragraphs, 3 paragraphs. And I want you to notice the black lettering and the green lettering, because I want you to notice, number 1, I am a dedicated educator who strives to make learning approachable, rewardable, and fun by stimulating the curiosity in all my students. Now, look what they add to this paragraph. My approach to education which blends individual attention with interactive group activities, has increased student retention by over 30% and increased test results by 54%. Again, they've used successes, what makes them unique, information that describes who they are, not just a job title, and what their successes have been. Take a look at number 2. This is fine. Putting in a list of specialties is a great way of adding in some of our previous work experience that maybe we are not incorporating into our current work experience because it's, again, older in age and years. Learning and development, talent management, campus recruitment, employee engagements, HR compliance. These are things, some of you are jack of all trades. Some of you have come from jobs where you've done 5 different things in one job. And so that's kind of hard to explain. But again, listing these things is a great way of adding them in if you're finding it difficult to write paragraphs about them. Notice number 3. I'm looking for a medical instruments company at the cutting edge, where I can lead a sales territory and make a difference. If you are looking for someone with energy, creative problem-solving skills, and unstoppable sales ambition, please contact me at such and such. Number 3 is one of my favorites. Look at it again. What do you think? So here's some example paragraphs. And again, you are very quiet out there. So I thank you for those of you that are putting some things in the chat, and those of you that are just listening and maybe soaking it all in. Thank you for being here as well. All right, let's keep going. Here's another example. And remember, you're going to get these slides at the end of this presentation, so you don't have to jot these all down. Notice I've used 4 different colors here. Let's take a look. I'm a research scientist working to better understand how neural activity motivates and shapes human behavior. Now stop for a minute. Maybe you're not a research scientist, neither am I, right? But what am I doing in my position? Okay, this person says they're understanding how neural activity motivates and shapes human behavior. Now, their expertise includes project design and management, data analysis and interpretation, and the development and implementation of research tools. I enjoy generating new ideas and devising feasible solutions to broadly relevant problems. I might split that up. So notice I might put I'm a research scientist, and then maybe after behavior, hit enter. My expertise, and after research tools, hit enter. And then what I enjoy, after problems, hit enter. Notice it says my colleagues would describe me as a driven, resourceful individual who maintains a positive, proactive attitude when faced with adversity. Now remember, on LinkedIn, let's just jump back for a moment. In LinkedIn, you have the opportunity, I'm going to scroll down so that you can see, after your work experience, your education, your skills, you have the opportunity to post recommendations. Now you can ask people that are your first level connections for recommendations, and when they write them through LinkedIn. You get them and you decide if you want to post them. So I have 16 recommendations, and as you can see that they're just short. Some of these people that I did ask for recommendations from, some of these are people that were in my classes and wrote recommendations for me automatically without me asking, and I have them. And so a lot of the quotes that I put from students here, I'll put either in my, as I mentioned earlier, in my about section, which I'm scrolling up as you can see. All right, what students have said about me, and this is a lot of the times in the chat, what things you've said as well in the past. I put them here. And then when someone is looking at my LinkedIn summary, And they've said my colleagues would describe me as these things that someone mentions about me in their recommendations, I can use in my summary, and then it's reinforced when they go and read my recommendations. Now, take a look in the blue. It says, I'm currently seeking opportunities that will allow me to develop and promote technologies that benefit human health. Now, stop there. I want you to look at that blue section again. If you feel it's important for you to say that you're seeking opportunities, this is the best way to do it. Currently seeking opportunities, not just to work. It's to do what? Well, to develop and promote technologies that benefit human health. That's a great job title as well. I might even just take out I'm seeking. I might just put, you know, interested in or looking forward to opportunities that will allow me. Now notice the last line. Specific fields of interest include data analytics, biotechnology, and pharmaceuticals. Now, I mention this because a lot of you may be office admins or in a particular field where you could, a job title where you could work in many fields. And notice what it says here. Specific fields of interest. You may have different interested fields of technology or like this one says pharmaceuticals and analytics. And so you could put what you want to do and what type of work you want to go into here as well. So this is one of my favorite examples that I give you. The only thing is I would spread it apart. I wouldn't put it all as one big paragraph. And that's why I put the different colors here to show you. It's showing what people do, what they're uniquely, what their value is, what their successes are, what they're looking for. Very conclusive example paragraph here. So again, when you are looking for what to write in your LinkedIn summary, you've got an opening. So I continue with my opening. You've got what you might do or will do. You've got some explanation of what you can do, what your successes are, maybe what some statistics are. And then you can put some quotes, or you don't have to do this piece, but always put how to reach. And I can't stress enough that you would Google. You could just put LinkedIn summary 2021. Or you could put the word about 2021. And using the word about, notice you're going to get these here. And again, take a look. 26 plus best LinkedIn summary examples. Well, let's click on that. And let's take a look. Professional summary. It's the About Me section, isn't it? And what are we supposed to put there? Describe yourself in personal terms. You can. I'd like to use more professional terms. Notice this says you can share information about your hobbies and your professional experience. Again, I'm not too sure if I would share my hobbies unless they are, for example, outstanding, like, triathlons or something like that. It says here, avoid using too many words in this section, as many people are struggling to read through. So think about it. You get 26 characters. Should you use all of them? It depends on your industry. Now, in marketing and advertising, I'd say yes. And again, you decide what you want to put in there. And you'd keep going down. And notice these steps. Start off with a powerful sentence, as I mentioned. Maybe write some information about your experience that includes content that you wrote also in your maybe in your resume, a vivid description of why you are good at what you do, achievements that you have made as part of your professional life, your skills, your education you can talk about, and your career path if you like in your summary. You can talk about professional associations if it's relevant to your career path. And notice spelling and grammatical errors. I always recommend you type your LinkedIn summary in the maybe Microsoft Word or Google Docs, and always use the spell check, print it off, reread it, make sure that it's spelling and grammatical error free, and then put it into LinkedIn. And then keep on going and taking a look at examples. I have 10 years of project management experience. I have BS in civil engineering. How are people presenting themselves? Now, you may not be a real estate manager or a software developer, but look at all these great examples that you can glean from. And don't steal, don't copy and paste, just look at it. What I say to people all the time is copy and paste, put them into Microsoft Word, then go twist and turn them to be relevant to you. And you'll look at all of these and say, oh, I like this, copy and paste it. Oh, I like this one, copy and paste it. And then you get into Microsoft Word and start readjusting, rewriting your LinkedIn summary that addresses who you are, but now you have some foundation or good ideas on what to put into your LinkedIn summary. Now, these are some questions that your LinkedIn summary should provide. So when you're done with your LinkedIn summary, or while you're working on your LinkedIn summary, why not ask yourself, have I put down what makes you unique? When I read this, am I showing where my career is headed? Did I put what others would describe me as? Do I have my values and personal traits in there? Did I demonstrate what I will do for an employer? Did I focus on my hard skills and my soft skills? Did I tell what makes me passionate about the work I do? These are some things that you can answer when you're reading your LinkedIn profile, or you can incorporate when you're writing your LinkedIn summary. Remember, your headline and your summary are two of the places that an employer will look to find out more about you, and definitely to get a first impression. So they are very important. On your LinkedIn profile, your photo, your headline, your about section are looked at. If they are impressed, they will go down and read and look at more. And you want to impress anyone who's looking at your LinkedIn profile. All right, let's just stop here for a moment. Any final questions that you have? We are going to go through the calendar, show you a little bit about what we're going to be doing in November, and then talking about doing the file transfer. So at this point, we have gone through our slide presentation. We started talking about what our professional brand was. And do you feel like you know what your professional brand is now? Do you know what your story is? Do you know how to put it into LinkedIn? Do you feel more confident about creating a LinkedIn headline and summary? Now, if you are interested in learning more about LinkedIn basics, or maybe even listening to this type of presentation again, let me put in the chat the website for our Mass Hire Metro North YouTube channel. Now, I put it in earlier, but let me make sure that I put that in again. So here's the YouTube channel, which you can go and learn a little bit more about the basics of LinkedIn, and also definitely maybe re-listening to this presentation as well. All right, good. So I'm going to be sending the slides to you right now. So stick around. Don't go anywhere, okay? Don't jump off yet. Let's go to this slide here, and let's just talk about I'm going to give you the website for the Mass Hire calendar. So let me give that to you in the chat, and then we'll talk about transferring the skills. So here's our calendar. Let me put that in the chat. There we go. And you can see that we're doing all kinds of training. And we're doing the LinkedIn training, I believe, in, let's see. Oh, I might not have put it in. Yeah, we're putting in November 30th. So again, if you're going to work on your LinkedIn profile, come back, take a look at our YouTube channel, or come back for the LinkedIn basics for November. All right. So right now, we just want to say thank you. Don't jump off. I'm going to do the file transfer, but we want to let you know that Cambridge, Chelsea, and Woburn, these are our phone numbers. If you have a question or you want to sign up for any career counseling, feel free to call these numbers. And just here's my email address. I'm going to put that into the chat. And why do you need my email address? You really don't. So don't worry if you don't want to email me. But I'd also like you to know that you can use this email if, when I do this file transfer right now, if the transfer doesn't work, you can email me, indicate your name and job seeker ID, and let me know that you want the LinkedIn headline and summary slides, and I'll be glad to send them to you. But right now, I'd like you to try to do this file transfer with me. The other thing that I'd like you to do is go ahead and connect with me on LinkedIn. Go ahead and find Jen Romano on LinkedIn. Feel free to join my network or ask me to join yours. That would be great. Thanks. All right, so right now I'm going to stop sharing. So stick around. Don't jump off. Let's stop sharing and let's do the file transfer. All right, your screen says Mass Hire, or it says Metro North Career Centers, and I'm getting the file in the background for you. And I'll be getting that in just a second. And we'll have that up on the screen right now. So here it is, LinkedIn headline. And for some of you, if you can't see this, or if it's not working, or if you're on a tablet or a phone and you're not able to download, I understand that. Feel free to just email me. The rest of you, if you can try clicking on the LinkedIn with your left mouse. So LinkedIn headline with your left mouse. Come on up, click with your left mouse on download. And the first question will be asked to you. You'll answer yes, and then you'll save. And this file will automatically go into your documents folder. So feel free to try it. And then I'd also love for you to know what you thought about this training today. So while you do that transfer, and after you do that transfer, if you have any time to let me know what you thought about today's presentation. Love to know what you thought and any information you found that was useful to you. That'd be great. Thank you. So I'm going to give you a chance to do the download. And again, if you can't do the download, don't worry. Go ahead and email me. I'll be glad to send that to you today. All right. So again, you click once on LinkedIn headline with your left mouse button. You click once on download, and then you answer yes and then save. All right, so we ended just a little early. If there are any questions, feel free to ask. If not, we are ready to jump off, so feel free to jump off. If you've got this file, feel free to jump. And hopefully I'll see you again in some other training. It's always my pleasure to teach you and to be with you and to share what we know about, in this case, LinkedIn headlines and summaries. And I hope to see you again in the other trainings as well. Tell your friends, all they need is a job seeker ID. They do not need to be unemployed. They can go to JobQuest, fill out a profile, and get a job seeker ID and take our trainings. All is free, so glad to have you all. All right, thanks again, everybody. It's been my pleasure. I'm going to mute, do a little bit behind the scenes, and then we'll end this. Have a great afternoon. Stay dry. Bye-bye.